First off, welcome everyone to our CAPS conversation. Tonight, we have the honor and privilege of hosting a dear friend of mine, Marisa Skolky, and she is an expressive arts therapist. And I guess we'll start this conversation tonight, Marisa, with in your words, what is expressive art therapy?
Yeah, well, expressive arts therapy is a combination. Thank you for having me here. I'm very grateful. Yeah. I so appreciate being a part of this community and educating and empowering other people to connect with themselves deeper. So expressive arts therapy is a combination of dialogue, writing, singing, however you need to do it with your words. Then there's also drawing and painting, and then there's also dance or movement. So the combination of these three things are really helpful to help others be able to express themselves in satisfying and playful ways that allow us to get to know our parts and our shadows from a space of curiosity and play, which often helps soften the intensity and the fear with getting to know ourselves. So the expressive arts therapy is a type of experiential therapy. So sometimes we don't have the words to express our emotions and our thoughts. And experiential therapies like dance and movement and drawing and dialogue and singing to our parts, these can give us so much more insight to our subconscious minds. And these hands-on experiences facilitate breakthroughs that conventional talk therapy often can't achieve. So it's more like bottom-up approach rather than top down, because what we know about trauma in the body is that most of it is stored in the tissues and the cells of our body system. So if most of our system is the subconscious mind, then doing experiential and expressive types of therapies can often help us rewire the soma, or the total body nervous system experience.
Yeah. That's makes such good sense. Can we do a little demonstration, or is there anything that we could maybe do to just kind of experience that a little bit?
Yes.
So we can better understand?
Definitely. Okay. So one of my favorite go-tos is a way to take the energetic temperature, so to say, on what it is that you're feeling and needing in the moment. And I call it a somagram. And so you'll need just a piece of paper and a pen or pencil.
Okay.
And you can make either a shape of your body, or perhaps maybe this is just an experimentation of drawing what you feel in your body from a space of squiggles or shapes or colors. And you can even write the color, if you don't have colored pencils or anything on it, you'd be like, this is blue and this is like my head. And so it's a way of drawing your body and putting into your body like either words or squiggles or shapes or anything that will help you know what's going on. So it's a way to check in and see where you're at. So I'm going to invite you to take some time, draw an outline of your body on the paper, and just start to notice what you feel and where, and put it on your diagram in whatever way comes to you. You could have a frog in your hand, or a frog in your throat, or you could have cold feet, and maybe the tips of your toes are blue, and maybe your stomach's tight, and so maybe like you're squished in. Draw as you feel is the prompt. Yeah. And if drawing the shape of your body doesn't quite resonate, and you just need to doodle on your paper how you're feeling right now, that's okay too. So there's really no rules. The only thing to do is just focus on how you're feeling, what you're feeling, where it is, and how you can express that on paper.
Yeah. I don't think I've drawn myself since middle school, honestly.
And it does, and try not to judge yourself.
No.
Because, Yeah, it can be.
It's fun.
Sometimes people are like, oh, I'm not a good drawer. And the thing with expressive arts is that it's not about how good you are. It's just that you're getting something out and you're connecting with yourself. And the more we could get rid of the perfectionist and the parts of us that are judging what we're doing and how fast or how much we're doing it, the more flow we can be in and the more open and receptive we could be to divine inspiration and deeper connection. So what this does is it helps you increase your mind-body connection. It gives you a sense of active engagement. It increases your self-awareness, for sure. And it's definitely a form of nonverbal expression. And so, like I said, sometimes we don't have the words. And we'll just wait another minute. Letting whatever come through.
I'm making sure I add pants.
And even if you didn't have pants, it would be okay. Because maybe you might feel naked in your life, and that's something to know too, right? Or exposed or vulnerable. Like, what does that even feel like and look like on paper? These are the questions. And the cool thing about this practice is that you can, if you checked in with yourself and made a somogram every day, you can kind of see a gradual change of where you're at and what you're feeling, and that embodied knowing and like seeing it, feeling it, writing about it, all of that just helps you better get to know yourself, which is ultimately the goal.
All right.
Okay. Ready?
Do you want me to show it?
Yeah.
All right. So let's see.
Okay.
So that's me. I feel it's fiery and then a big heart as well. So like I feel like full of fire, but like lovingly.
Like a passionate. Yeah.
And just
Powerful.
Yeah, I just went to the gym right before this call, so that probably has something to do with my self feeling good about myself right now, right? Just getting there and working out, but yeah. And then I'm on this kind of everything's either a hell yes or a hell no kind of philosophy. So I feel really good about what we're doing, so that's why I expressed the hell yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And it looks like you're I saw like the strength in your arms. And show it to me again.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if there could be colors in there for you, like if you could fully be expressed in this photo, like would there be any specific colors that you would add if you didn't do it in pen?
Yeah, that's a good question. I constantly kind of see myself in this, and I think we've had this discussion in the past, right? This kind of teal color that embodies, that kind of surrounds me, and I constantly feel that color. And so I would definitely add that. I would definitely want to color the heart, a really bright red, and then have like the flames with the orange and the yellow, and do that. So maybe, and then maybe a nice, tealish aquamarine aura. I think the color right there on your sweater. right there. Right. That shade. So that's my feel good color.
Yeah, that was awesome. So it seems like you were really feeling into what it is that you were feeling in the moment and were able to express it on people. So and then just tapping into like what that was like for you to do that exercise, not something that we typically do every day, right? So it also enhances the neuroplasticity, not only like in your brain, but also in your body. So with a supportive environment, you can get to know yourself in a really creative way.
Yeah, I love it. And so a typical practice would be we would want to draw ourselves on a daily or an interval basis at least.
Yeah, so you can check in. So the way that I like to do it, I like to do a sonogram before and after my client sessions. And that way we can kind of take the temperature of where they were before and after. And so we know how far to go or what shifted. And it really gives a visual representation of what they're feeling and needing. Similarly, I really like the exercise where you've got your head on one side of the room and then your heart on the other. And then where are you physically in that space, and like see if like your legs are spread or if you're more towards the head or more towards the heart, but that actual embodied sense of like, oh, I'm super emotional and like I'm really into my heart and the logical part just like isn't there, or am I somewhere in the middle, and how is my body shaped as I spread myself between the two sides? So it's like this really embodied sense of knowing what it is that you feel and getting to know yourself on a much deeper level. Yeah.
No, I'm so thankful. I learned something completely new just now. So I'm so appreciative to that. So and you and I have talked in the past, but I'm would like for you to kind of maybe share a little bit, about your journey to how you've gotten to this point. I know that you have a powerful personal journey of overcoming some challenges. Can you tell us a little bit more about those experiences and how that shaped your approach to expressive arts therapy?
Definitely. So for me, I grew up in a household where my mother was extremely creative and vocal, and I grew up like my creativity was embraced. And so thank goodness for that, because it's been my main healing tool over the years, dancing and singing and making my own songs about literally anything at all, and creating earworms, like spells to get caught in your head so that you can remember the truth of yourself. And so my journey of overcoming bulimia, and also I had to struggle with shoplifting food as well, which are both very shameful, secretive things that kept my energy sort of contained. And after overcoming both of those things after 16 years, using a combination of expressive arts therapy, dancing, movement, drawing, dialogue, singing, making songs for my parts to myself, medicine work, plant medicine work, psilocybin, iboga, ibogaine, reset my nervous system. And then I also have done a lot of energy work, Reiki, hypnotherapy, EMDR, all sorts of different types of body-based neuroplasticity when it comes to like rewiring the soma and like the nervous system. So I've done a lot of that. And then currently IFS and psychedelic therapy. So my own journey of overcoming complex PTSD, and I grew up in a really toxic household. Even though my mother was very creative, it was not the safest environment for me. And so I developed patterns of coping that weren't serving me, but they were serving me at the time. So over that time, I've just been 100% into finding a way through. And I think I've always known that I was going to overcome it, because when I first struggled with bulimia, I got this tattoo, and it's the NEDA tattoo, which is the National Eating Disorder Awareness Tattoo. And that was like the first year that I was struggling with bulimia specifically. And it was 16 years till then until I overcame it. And so now this tattoo means something completely different to me now. But I was at a hopeless place in my life, and at the point where I finally shifted everything was when I was like losing my hair. I almost had like my bladder removed, and I was just feeling really dysregulated working at a corporate job in insurance for 13 years. While I was doing my Reiki and hypnotherapy and trip sitting and stuff on the side, since 2015, I didn't fully believe in my gifts, and I didn't think I could, I was scared to leave my job and my identity, and and really just trusting myself. And so once I took a 3-month sabbatical and sat with Iboga and learned from Lakota elders psychodrama and exorcisms and did a lot of personal work, I was able to finally heal. And so now the wisdom and the gifts that have come with that is being able to support other people, especially with trauma and addictions, to the other side and through, and to learn how to feel their feelings and come back home to themselves without such a, resistance, to be able to really soften ourselves to ourselves and be with everything. And through using songs and dance and body rewiring and taking space and time and being patient and being in integrity with what you say you're going to do for yourself, which is key. I shepherd others along to rebirth and transform what they thought is possible. And for me, this is the most empowering, purposeful work that I could be doing. I know it's my divine passion and purpose to be doing this work, and I'm honored to do it. And so I'm grateful to bring my knowledge of actual experiential knowledge, which is so key, with a lot of the certifications and programs that I've been in since then, as I've been learning how to support other people with their own traumas and addictions. And it's complex, which is why you need a big book of recipes in which to choose from which modalities might work for certain people. So I think that the key of the work that I do with others is that I offer such an array of modalities and resources that you're going to find something that works for you. And when we find that something, we're going to integrate it with other things, and we're going to help you find a mind, body, and spirit routine and rituals that can enhance the clarity and direction of your life. And with the right structure and loving presence and guidance, I believe that anything is possible. And so that's why I do this work.
Yeah, that's very well said, and thank you so much for sharing that. And I just love the recipe analogy. I bring in all the tools. Let's it's not just about one solution. It's we're all unique individuals, and what chicken soup might be good for me, but it might not be good for someone else, right? And it's having all these recipes to kind of figure out what's best for the individual.
It's resourcing, it's empowerment, it's also helping people build capacity for tolerating greater feelings. So using body awareness to establish safety and set the stage for traumatic resolution. So like when we are able to anchor our life experiences into our nervous system, things actually start to shift, and our unconscious responses to life start to shift. And that's where life can get really exciting.
Yeah, and I've reviewed your website as well, and we've had these conversations, and how you emphasize like tailoring the approach to each individual. Would you mind kind of sharing an example how customizing these sessions to meet the individuals in their needs?
Yes. So I take a very much of a trauma-informed lens. And so on my calls with my clients, my discovery calls, I make sure to notice where they're at with their nervous systems, like how dysregulated they seem to be in conversation, what modalities and resources they already have that they're consistently using and integrating. And then I see from there, okay, what modalities they might be interested in. And a lot of the times it includes some form of nonlinear movement, whether that's specifically dance or that's just moving their spine in very specific ways while making sounds. Oftentimes I'll have someone come and do activated, like a microdose integrative healing session where they'll take a small amount of psilocybin, and they'll come and we'll do some nonlinear movement, and then we'll do some somagram, and then we'll move into the energy work, the Reiki part, where we get you into a nice, relaxed, open state. We might use a device called David's Delights, which puts different colors in your eyes and synchronize the hemispheres of your brain. And then from there, I guide you into a meditation, and we start working with the parts of you that are resistant, that are polarized, that, you know, need to be heard and listened to, but are hard to hear and listen to when you're already activated. So helping my clients get into an open, receptive state, and then we start going deeper and working on specific parts in that session. And then I use different tools like moxa, which is moxibustion. It's a type of energetic acupuncture that removes negativity and dampness from the body. I use things like tuning forks, sonic anatomy, which is using your vocal cords to make certain sounds that correlate to different organs in the body. There's a woman named Ellen McCusick that has an incredible course called The Body Electric, and she talks about how to use tuning forks and also different sounds to clear your chakras. So it's mind, body, and spirit. We always we'll have one of the three. So whatever modality goes with each one, we're going to do at least one modality for the mind, for the body, for the spirit, and a lot of times it's combined. But ultimately, the key is to help my clients feel more regulated, empowered, and trusting in themselves in the process. And I believe when you have somatic awareness, like interoception, which that enhances like your mindfulness and it builds presence in the here and the now. So when I ask my clients, like, what are they noticing when I'm putting my hands here, or what happens when, we start to make this sound? So we start to build this sense of trust and relationship with the body. So the combination of the somatic awareness and the energy work and a little bit of hypnotherapy with some IFS to sprinkle that on in, and you've got a perfect combination for a really, really powerful 2-hour session. And I've had actually a really incredible experience with a client recently who was an ex-cop and came to do some work on healing some of his PTSD. And this was pretty cool. And on my table, he said he was able to experience like the ghosts of the people that had died and that he never really got full closure, and was able to release them with love and send them on their way. And he said like his panic attacks diminished by like 80% after that session. So allowing people to go that deep is a real gift, having a space to be able to do that. So yeah, it's a recipe. And some people just come and they'll come for it. I invite them over and I say, hey, just come on over to my dance class on Thursday evenings and just check out the space, feel my energy, make sure that you feel safe in my company. And oftentimes I'll invite them to a music jam, or I'll invite them to a community event first. And then I invite them to do an integrative session with me without any medicine and see how they do with that. And then we could do a session with a little bit of medicine. And then, from there we can continue working with the different modalities.
Wonderful. I'm about to admit someone, but I am asking them to turn off their camera before we let them in.
Okay.
So give me 2 seconds here. Awesome. So she's actually one of the co-founders of CAP. She was just running a little late.
Oh, nice.
But it's all good. So we've talked about and you sort of hinted about this in your last statement. But I know that you do group retreats and different classes, ecstatic dance, women's circles. So what do you think about what are some of the unique benefits of like the group setting, peer-to-peer support?
Yeah, that is really powerful, group support, because we've got everyone there just holding space for each other and also like sharing that we're not alone. And so there's this like nurturing familial energy that comes from these group retreats. I usually invite 2 really interesting facilitators that have different specialties. For my women's groups, I invite like a womb specialist or like someone that does yoga or craniosacral therapy that can offer those modalities as well. So I like to combine my gifts with other people's specific gifts so that we've got an array of different types of offerings. And then we do things like authentic relating games, and all the food is home cooked by me with love. And we've got nature inquiry exercises, art exercises, integration, preparation. We've got an ecstatic dance, and fireside intention ceremonies. It's just a lot of love and intention goes into it. And it's usually a Friday through Sunday experience where people sleep over, and there's room in the house in Smyrna, Georgia for that. And so it's really a blessing to see deep, profound healing and a sense of support, a deeper support, especially as we come together and we realize that a lot of us struggle with the same things, just in different ways and different levels. So yeah. And I mean, everyone sort of triggers each other a little bit in the journey as well. And so some of that triggering can also be helpful for to get out what needs to have it, whatever is needing attention, that you can focus on that so you can work on healing it. So whether it's someone crying or someone giggling or laughing while you're trying to be in your journey, and and things come up, and that's something to work with as well. So this is this practice of being with everything, right? Of not being resistant to and not pushing anything away. And knowing that when you're in that state of self, like capital self, like calm, confident, curious, connected, that you can handle anything. And that knowing allows you to show up for yourself and others in much better, bigger ways.
Yeah.
So, group ceremonies are powerful.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. And with everyone, adding their own energies to the experience, and then, creating that safe container of support and integration afterwards, right? Where we can really, really support each other and talk about, what's transpired and what we're feeling and what we potentially have learned. It's just, and then, hopefully, right, the members, right, stay in contact with each other, right? And then, because this integration process goes on for long, like, and
some people find like their bestest friends,
Yeah.
And it can be lifelong friendships, because when you have that sort of intimate, vulnerable experience and own yourself and all your vulnerabilities in front of a group of people, wow. It's a whole other level of growth and opportunity for expansion and compassion.
Okay, I like it. So you've talked about some of your specialties, ranging from self-worth and empowerment and healing our inner child. Which area do you find most challenging, and why?
I like that question. Yeah. Well, I think that probably the hardest part, I think, for a lot of people is the sense of self-trust and the doubt that creeps in, and I think that also, I think it all ties into the inner child, because oftentimes a lot of the trauma stem from your childhood. And so that's where the parts work, the IFS, internal family systems work, comes into play, because that helps us access a lot of these child parts that got stuck in the past, that are carrying burdens and beliefs that don't serve them or that aren't even theirs, or happen because of a trauma. And we could learn how to set them free and give them new roles, and be witnessed and seen and acknowledged and heard and supported in the ways that they needed to then, that they can now, as you are your own parent to these little inner children. And a really cool inner child experience that I like to provide for my clients is this collage project, where I have them make a collage of all their baby pictures, and even like word cutouts from magazines, like words of like the childhood even if they didn't have it, the childhood of like, make this like collage of like the happiest childhood that you could have had, even if it necessarily wasn't that. And so that you can almost like visually start to think about it in a different way and be open to the possibility that you can not negate what happened, but also, be the parent to your inner child, like as you need to. So I really like that practice of, I've got my own sort of poster of all my baby pictures and stuff, and I was like, oh, she's so cute, and you get to see, really love that little girl or boy or they or however you say your pronouns, however you, and just have a lot of compassion for that little inner child. And it's like you see like your innocence, and you see like oh, they are worthy of love, and it's like that's still me, And so that realization, that again, the felt sense, the seeing of yourself in that way can often turn some switches. So
yeah, just hearing you say it, right, like making a collage of how I would imagine my childhood, or how I would make an ideal childhood. I just, that's such a beautiful idea. And I couldn't agree more, right, where it's, so much of this baggage that we carry, right, it comes from these childhood experiences. And I'll be that, speaking for myself, of course, right? Like, I mean, it's definitely rooted in young Mike, in a lot of ways. So yeah. So all right. So let's close up with one more question, and then we'll open it up to our guests for question and answers. Okay. All right. So I guess let me find one of these last questions. So, how about, would you mind sharing maybe a particular transformative moment in your life, or a success story from your practice that you were just, right, to close this out, to kind of really highlight, I'm giving you a little brag time here. Well,
I've been blessed to have actually multiple miracles in my own personal life. I've healed a broken leg with help of medicine, and of course 2 major addictions, so I've done a lot to overcome some really difficult things. But also for my clients, I've seen a lot of my clients coming off of their antidepressants after being on them for 30 plus years. I've seen people start to really own their sense of their unique authenticity and show up in ways that transform their relationships and heal their marriages. And I have one client who got the courage to do stand-up comedy, and now she's like living her best life. And the work that we've done together hasn't really empowered her to do that, and that's been really exciting. Ultimately, I think the clients that I've helped heal, like with the PTSD, and the one Orthodox woman that I worked with, I've worked with a couple of them, but the one recently that I worked with, she never met her inner child before until we started working together. And then she was like, oh, now I know who to connect with. And that was like, oh, wow. And I also had another client recently who was so scared of connecting to her spirituality because in her upbringing, she didn't want to, anything spiritual was seen as weird, or like no one wanted to know about it. And so she turned off this like deep connection with like being able to talk to spirits and stuff. And she was like, is this okay? And, I've been helping her really embrace like divination and making tinctures for herself, like this sort of like, deep feminine, ancient wisdom that I feel like that we have. And she's really feeling liberated by that. And she's a therapist, so she's able to help other people and bring a lot of the resources and information of what we're doing into her own practice. And watching people blossom and transform and rebirth themselves over and over again, like I have done so many times. I really feel like a doula in a way, where I'm just like holding and welcoming in, helping you welcome in and integrate the new in a safe and supportive environment. And I like to think of it as, inviting people in a safe space to meet themselves. Right? So it's been really empowering watching my clients also inspire me, because through every single person I work with, I learn so much about myself and I have, my heart is just like growing and growing and growing with compassion and understanding, because people have gone through some really hard things, and there's just a grace and a humility that comes with it, and I'm just grateful to be able to support people and to provide a non-judgmental environment for them to be as weird or eccentric or how much they need to be, how weird or expressive or angry or tired or depressed. And and if they feel depressed, I have them do the depressed dance, and we put on a song, and they just like roll, crawl on the floor like a snail, making, sounds that really express their exhaustion. Really, like you feel you have a party pooper part. Okay, let's throw her a party. Like, let's sit down and have tea with her, and we'll all dress in black, and we'll serve dark tea, and you know what I mean? To really like indulge in all the parts, so that we can welcome all of it. And through this process of helping my clients feel more empowered and like they can be with more of themselves, it's empowering to witness and inspiring, which is really cool stuff.
Yeah, I love it. And that totally resonates, as a health coach, right? It's almost like the universe, the clients find me because I need to reflect something in me that they're bringing a message almost, right? Like it's wild. But when you start to really work with people, like you totally become aware of it. You're like, oh, not only are we working together in a way to hopefully help you, but like you were sent here to help me too.
Right.
Like, I mean, it totally happens.
And the themes of the week, based on like who I'm sitting for, I was like, oh, I needed to realize not to take my life so seriously. I was like, oh yeah. I'm like these messages that come through. I'm so grateful for that. Yeah, it's a collaboration. Like, we're all connected, so we're, of course, like we're all healing together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well said. So we'll go ahead and just just my sincerest thanks. I just am so happy and honored to have you speak tonight, and I learned so much. Seriously, I'm gonna watch the replay of this, because you said about 10 things that I was like, oh, I need to go back and double check on that. I need to double check on that. I want to learn more about that. So thank you so much. And so I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording, and then we'll allow the guest to do some Q&A. Is that all right with you?
Sounds good.
Wonderful.